What's going on, team? It's Caddy with Money Investing. I hope that you all are having an amazing day. So in this video, we will talk about the markets. We'll go over the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq index. We'll do some technical analysis and also give you an update on the stimulus package and the jobless claims since it is Thursday. So definitely make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed this video. And if you are new, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these future market updates and videos related to investing and or technical breakdowns. So definitely a roller coaster day, and there was a lot of volatility in the markets today. First, talking about the jobless claims, since today again is Thursday. So the initial claims from last week came out, and for the first time since the pandemic started, we dipped below the 1 million mark by reporting close to 963,000 people that filed for unemployment benefits last week versus the expectation or the analyst estimates at close to 1.12 million people. So definitely a positive catalyst for the markets, but nonetheless, the S&P 500 essentially ended the day in red. The Nasdaq was in the green, however, and that was essentially being dragged by the fact that there is no stimulus deal in place right now, and the Senate in fact even left before there was even a relief deal. So to give you guys an update, there is no second stimulus in the near future, and that is the message from Washington, and the Senate left until September. So the Senate was supposed to be on August recess, but leader Mitch McConnell essentially kept the chamber in session this week in a bid to allow the White House and the Democrats to try to reach an agreement and close on a deal. But that was obviously unsuccessful, so we'll probably won't hear back until after Labor Day. So now that being said, let's jump over to the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq index, essentially go over where they traded, where they closed, and where can we potentially go moving forward tomorrow going into next week. Alright guys, so here we are inside my TradingView platform. Again, if this is the platform you'd like to use, the link is going to be down in the description below for you to get started. Right now, looking at the S&P 500, ticker symbol SPX, and we closed at 33.73, and we were down about 20 basis points. And right now, we're looking at the 4-hour chart. First, let's just go over to the daily pattern to try and understand what exactly happened on the day. So you can see how we were up and down throughout the day. We were hitting highs, but we were getting rejected at that same resistance. And then we were hitting lows, but we did get pushed up. And the candle essentially ended up closing at a doji, which is a sign of very mixed signals and a lot of consolidation in the markets. But this right here is going to kind of be the resistance that we have been following. So 33.87 is going to be the high for these two candles. So the high for today was 33.87 as well. And the high from yesterday was also at 33.87. So definitely a lot of resistance at that level, and we just need to break out of there before we can hit all-time highs at 33.93, 3400 and beyond. And I essentially asked everyone in my yesterday's video, when does everyone see S&P hitting 3400, whether it's going to be this week? And I think a couple people did mention that we are potentially going to see 3400 this week. So tomorrow again is going to be very, very interesting, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do see another pullback and we don't get to that level until next week or even until September, when we do hear back from the Senate, from the Democrats and the Republicans on where we stand in terms of the stimulus package and what that number is going to look like. So now we're going to jump over to the 4-hour chart to kind of understand the momentum. And there's one thing that I really want to address, and that's going to be this last 4-hour candle. And the reason is very simple, because it's a red candle, and that essentially means that towards the last 4 hours, we essentially sold off all the way as low as 33.73, which is where we closed. But the interesting thing is that we bounced off of our 9 EMA, which is going to be the white line, which sits at 33.62, and the low for today was 33.63. So definitely a little bit of support there from a price action standpoint. But nonetheless, this right here is going to be a strong resistance. You guys can see that we have essentially gone rejected. The bodies of these candles essentially sit at 33.80, right? So this right here closed at 33.80. This right here open 33.80. This right here high was close to 33.83. This right here closed at 33.80. This right here closed at 33.80. This right here opened at 33.80. So you can see how there is such a strong level of resistance at 33.80, right? You can see that 6 candles in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all have the body just sitting at 33.80, right? So definitely a lot of resistance for us to keep a close eye on. The next support we're going to be watching is going to be 33.51, which sits right here. So if you go over to the 1-hour chart, you'll kind of notice that that has previously acted as some type of strong resistance, right? We were struggling to break out of that resistance, pulled back, found support, and until eventually we finally break out. consolidate, and then push up higher. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do come down tomorrow to retest 33.51 and find support there. If we do break below this level, then I'm really confident that this 33.30 level, which is a green rectangle, is going to hold as really strong support, because we have found support there going back as far as August 11th. Going back even further, you can see that we essentially pulled back all the way down to this level on August 7th at 1:30 p.m. and then towards the end of the day we essentially push up to break out of 33.50 resistance. So again, we are so close in hitting all-time highs at 33.93. We're only about less than 1% away, close to 60 basis points from its current levels. The S&P only needs to push up another 20 points in order for that magical moment where the S&P, which is probably arguably the most followed and tracked benchmark in the entire world, will be hitting an all-time high. Again, let me know in the comment section down below, when do you think we're going to see the S&P 500 hit an all-time high? Whether it's going to be tomorrow, whether it's going to be next week, or if you're going to have to wait till September. Let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you guys. So now looking at the Nasdaq IXIC, that's the ticker symbol, that actually did close in the green, and it was up over 27 basis points, closing in just at 11,042. This right here, you guys know from my yesterday's video, was the resistance we are following very closely, 11,118. And you can see exactly what happened in the markets today. This right here is where the markets opened, so 9 a.m. We're looking at the 1 hour chart. We push up all the way up to that level, test 11,118. So high for this candle, 11,120. High for this candle, 11,124. And look what happened right at that resistance. We had this huge sell-off all the way down to 11,018, and that was a drop of almost 1% for the Nasdaq. However, it did push up towards the end, and it did close at 11,042. So there was definitely a little bit of momentum towards the end for the Nasdaq, which is why this right here is going to be the green candle for the Nasdaq, and it was up 27 basis points. So now moving forward, this right here is going to continue to sit our next near-term resistance. And based on previous patterns, you can see that Nasdaq usually does have a double top or a double top resistance. You can go back as far as July 20th. And then even further back on July 13th. So the Nasdaq essentially made a double top, pulled back all the way down to its horizontal support, and then made its way back, and then eventually broke out of that level. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a very similar setup, right? So this right here, again, is going to be the double top resistance for the Nasdaq, sitting at 11,118. If we do pull back down to this green rectangle, which is where we have recognized our bull camp and a very strong support, then that's going to be a drop for the Nasdaq of close to 1.8 to 1.85%, retest, revalidate this support, and then push up higher to break out of our all-time high. So I would be really interested to see if you fill this gap right here for the Nasdaq, which is going to be right there, and if we pull back all the way down to this green support at 10,080, or if we find some type of support, start consolidating sideways, and then eventually break out of our all-time high at 11,124. So now quickly going over some of the other stocks. Apple, again, charging for some reason which I cannot possibly understand. It's up over 1.77%, closed at $460. And if you scroll down, you can see the market cap is sitting at $1.966 trillion. So that's essentially $1.966 trillion. So it's essentially 34 billion short of hitting a $2 trillion market cap. That is absolutely insane. But again, just breaking out of our resistance. This right here, $454 resistance, is what we had recognized yesterday. And this right here are going to be pre-market leading up to the market open. And we essentially break out of that level pre-market. Like, Apple doesn't even need enough volume for it to break out of resistances because it's just pushing higher. So if I were to bring out the volume, you can see that this right here was, the volume was essentially dead. 7 a.m. there was no volume, and we still broke out of that level. So definitely a lot of momentum, and then pushed it even higher, hitting highs of 463, 464, and then pulling back towards the end. But definitely a lot of momentum for Apple. I'm not really sure how I feel about this, because since they've reported their earnings and have announced a split, nothing fundamentally has basically changed about the business, and yet their market cap is essentially, rallied 100, 200, 300 billion dollars, right? From lows of about 436 to now almost at 464. That's a jump of over 6%. So now we're going to jump over to Amazon, ticker symbol AMZN, and that right there is going to be the analysis from previous days. We were following a resistance at 32.64, so we hit that resistance back on August 7th and then had a pullback all the way down to our support at 3,090. Push up again, get rejected right around here at 32.15. So breaking below our sort of like previous resistance, which in my opinion should have been a really good support, but again, just selling off further and close at 31.61. And right now, after hours, as of the time of this video, it's up just about 5 basis points, trading at 31.62. So again, getting a little bit of weakness in the pattern, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do see another downside in the pattern, and Amazon essentially dropping close to 2%, tomorrow going into next week. Because of this huge sell-off towards the end, that just represents a little bit of weakness from a price action standpoint. And last but not least, I'm going to quickly go over Microsoft, ticker symbol MSFT. And this right here, again, is going to be the analysis from previous days. Resistance and the all-time high sits at $216 to $217 level. Support sits at strong at $201 to $203 level, which is what this green rectangle represents. And this right here is going to be kind of like the next support we've been watching at $208 level, which today you can see that it did consolidate right here. It pulled back all the way down to this level and then started going sideways. So that definitely should hold as a good support in my opinion, but you never know in these markets. If Microsoft does break below from today's low, which sits at $207, $208.15, then I can personally see it retesting 206 tomorrow, which is going to be a drop of close to over 1%. And then in my opinion, as a good buying opportunity, because any of these blue chip tech stocks, eventually their growth has been incredible over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they have just been consistently going up in value, and their patterns are nothing but an ascending pattern. So I hope you guys enjoy these videos, and please make sure to drop a like if you did. I really appreciate you guys' support, and always let me know in the comment section down below, how do you feel about the markets right now? Where do you think S&P is going to close this week, next week, or in September? When are we going to see those all-time highs? As always, make sure that you drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, happy investing, and I will see you guys in the next video.